After a weekend of death and destruction, more severe weather could be on the way for parts of the country. We will tell you what is on the way. Leaders in Harlan County gathered to break ground on a new business park. We will take you to the ceremony. And a Kentucky congressman is calling on a colleague to apologize to a fellow lawmaker before coming to the bluegrass.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 5:30 on Tuesday, April the 16th. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning in to Mountain News This Morning. Well, I was a happy camper yesterday and this morning because it is back to the temperatures that I love. But for those of you who hate what I love, do not worry. Everything will get back to normal and what you are expecting. Brandon, good morning. And I was talking to Jody Sims with the Kentucky State Police yesterday, and he said that we are in dogwood winter now, and we still have blackberry winter to go, but we're in stage 2 out of the 3 that we normally see.
That's right. A lot of folks were kind of fighting me on that, saying it's still redbud. No, we're past redbud at this point. I know the dogwood's just now starting to bloom, but this is dogwood winter, so we're continuing to see some cooler temperatures this morning. Let's go to the cameras first over Whitesburg on the MCHC cam, and you can see quiet and cool start to the morning there. Frost advisory continues until 9 o'clock this morning. Temperatures in those 30s, mid to upper 30s across the board, so kind of keep that in mind across the state. The warm air is building in. 54 in Paducah right now. Your day planner takes us into the 60s by lunchtime, into the 70s by this afternoon. The rest of that forecast on the way here in just a few minutes. Will?
All righty, Brandon, thank you. The storm system that caused death and destruction in parts of this country this weekend is gone, but gusty winds remain, and forecasters say more severe weather is expected soon. John Lawrence has more.
Shelby, Ohio in shambles after a confirmed tornado touchdown Sunday.
When it hit, you could feel the whole entire house shake.
Parts of the town were destroyed instantly.
The whole house started shaking. I told my wife then, I said, I think the house is gone.
Neighboring state Pennsylvania also dealing with the aftermath of the storms.
It just sounded like a lot of wind, and it was very, very fast.
The Berlin Mobile Home Park in Columbia County took a direct hit.
The trailer shook, and I got out of bed and come out right away. And by that, you heard everything flying.
Sections of the South also picking up the pieces.
Wind kicked up. Next thing we know, we heard this loud bang.
The strong winds and rain flung this white awning down nearly 10 stories in Midtown Atlanta. 2 people below suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Severe storms also causing damage from Texas to Mississippi, with at least 8 weather-related deaths reported. Forecasters say another potent storm is expected to arrive in the Central Plains midweek, with a threat of more tornadoes.
If you don't have a basement, get someplace in a ditch or somewhere. You got to get low. I can guarantee you if we was still upstairs, we wouldn't be probably here today.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Now, Iowa's governor is asking lawmakers for $15 million to help flooded communities in her state. Kim Reynolds says flooding in March damaged more than 50 levees, stretching 250 miles along the Missouri River. She says 25,000 homes were destroyed or significantly damaged, and more than 4,200 businesses have been affected. Reynolds has also announced she's creating a flood recovery advisory board that will coordinate state recovery efforts. A Kentucky family is safer after a tree fell on their cabin at Lake Cumberland while they were still inside. According to H.M. Bottom, the emergency manager for Russell County, Sunday morning storms caused the tree to fall onto the cabin, knocking it off its foundation and nearly onto its side. He also said that 4 of the 6 people went to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, but that everyone is doing okay.
It's very lucky because, you know, the cabin, once the tree went into the cabin, it took it off the foundation, and behind it was, was quite of a drop.
The state park is bringing in engineers to inspect the site before cleanup begins. Officials call it an opportunity. Yesterday was the official groundbreaking of the Harlan County Business Park right off of US 119 in Cumberland. Officials in the county say this will draw an industry and hopefully provide hundreds of jobs to the area. WYMT's Connor James was there.
Just like that, Ground is now broken here at this area tucked in the mountains of Harlan County.
Because this Build Ready site, I think, has an opportunity to land an employer that could recruit employees from all across their labor shed.
For Colby Kirk, the Harlan County Business Park, has been a mission of his.
We're actually going to be able to share this story with new companies that are looking at maybe relocating or expanding to our part of Kentucky. So we're real excited to share our story of our available workforce.
This site is one of only 14 build-ready sites in the state.
And we will have the first in eastern Kentucky and Harlan County.
The county's Judge Executive Dan Mosley mentioning this lays the groundwork for the next 100 years of the county, as the county celebrates its bicentennial this year.
It's a celebration of getting started on true economic diversification.
That's what we were doing today, is preparing this community to go out and recruit industry.
Roger Fannin, the chairman of One Harlan County, echoes the hopes that this will provide jobs for the region.
This is the only build-ready site south of 64 and east of 75. I think that could become very, very important for the future of this industrial park on down the road.
And there's still...
we love groundbreakings. The only thing better than a groundbreaking is a ribbon cutting on a new business. And that's what we're really looking forward to.
A lot of work to be done.
Now again, that was Connor James himself reporting. The site itself is 50,000 square feet with an additional expansion capability of 50,000 square feet. You can find the full story on our website at WYMT.com. A multi-million-dollar announcement elsewhere that is expected to bring thousands of jobs to the region. Brady Industries has announced it has partnered with Russian aluminum giant Rusal, creating a joint project to produce aluminum in the United States. Here's what this means for the Commonwealth. If approved by both companies, Rusal, a Russian company, would invest $2 million into the planned aluminum rolling mill near Ashland. The plan still stands that Brady Atlas will begin production in 2021 at the mill in East Park. Construction of the plant is expected to create around 1,500 construction jobs, 650 new permanent advanced manufacturing jobs, and more than 3,000 additional support jobs in the surrounding communities.
We have a perfect strategic partnership, creating, in essence, the lowest cost aluminum, the highest quality aluminum with the lowest carbon imprint in our entire industry. I couldn't be more proud of our team, and it's just a fantastic day for us.
As part of this partnership, Rusal will serve as Brady's exclusive supplier of low-carbon aluminum. The company is the largest producer of aluminum outside of China. We'll have to wait a little longer before getting our new Kentucky driver's licenses. The Transportation Cabinet says the new IDs will be available sometime this spring. They were originally supposed to launch last month and then pushed back to early April. People in Woodford and Franklin counties will be the first to apply for the new licenses. The change makes Kentucky compliant with the Real ID Act. Once that goes into effect in October of 2020, you'll need the new IDs to fly or go into federal buildings. Congressman Andy Barr is calling on a high-profile colleague to apologize. Barr sent a letter to Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on Friday, referencing what he calls a lack of civility towards another colleague. The New York Congresswoman is a rising star in the Democratic Party and a frequent target of Republicans for her liberal views. Congressman Barr has invited her to tour a Kentucky coal mine, but as he told Garrett Weimer, he wants her to apologize first.
Meeting with folks at a Madison County Golden Corral, Congressman Andy Barr was in front of a mostly friendly crowd, a far cry many times from the halls of the U.S. Capitol.
At the end of the day, we all need to treat each other as colleagues with respect.
Congressman Barr says that's why he sent a letter to Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York, urging her to apologize for comments on Twitter to Texas Congressman Dan Crenshaw before she comes to Kentucky.
And I want to invite the gentlelady to come to Eastern Kentucky.
Last month, during a House Financial Services Committee meeting, Barr invited Ocasio-Cortez to tour a coal mine with him.
I invite her to go underground with me and meet the men and women who do heroic work to power the American economy.
It was part of an exchange about climate change and the proposed Green New Deal.
You want to tell people that their concern and their desire for clean air and clean water is elitist? Tell that to the kids in the South Bronx, which are suffering from the highest rates of childhood asthma in the country.
Congressman Barr says his invitation to Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez to come here to Kentucky is still open. He says they have profound disagreements, but he made the invitation in good faith.
I want her to show she has an open mind. Come to Kentucky and learn about the ramifications of her proposals on real people struggling in real ways.
Barr says he's also willing to have an open mind and travel to her district. In Richmond, Garrett Weimer, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, a spokeswoman for Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez's office told the Herald Leader's Washington bureau that the Congresswoman does not plan on apologizing, say the colleague she criticized was, quote, fanning the flames of hate. The spokesman added that the border to Kentucky is still open, so they don't need Congressman Barr to meet with coal miners, although they would love him to participate if they do. Well, if you have pre-cut melon in your fridge this morning, check it. Multiple big box stores, including Kroger, Walmart, Target, and Whole Foods, are recalling it due to the possibility of salmonella contamination. We learned 16 Kentuckians have tested positive with the strain so far. The recall includes pre-cut watermelon, honeydew melon, and cantaloupe. They are packaged in clear plastic clamshell containers and sold under various brands. So if you have it from one of those stores, just go ahead and throw it out. From the measles to mumps, even the chicken pox, you may have noticed several stories recently popping up about old viruses, though it has been a long time making a comeback. According to our medical contributor, Dr. Ryan Stanton, it all comes down to vaccines. Whether people just aren't getting them or people coming into the country without the proper vaccines, Dr. Stanton says bottom line is those groups are overpowering the people who are vaccinated.
We had enough protection that you wouldn't see things spread. You would see little single cases or something, especially from traveling, but you wouldn't see these things spread because it had no place to go. So basically, it's the idea of saying you may have a spark, but you don't have enough fuel for a fire.
Coming up in the 6 o'clock hour, WKYT's Miranda Combs explains something you can do to make sure your vaccines are holding up. Well, cannabis users might want to let their doctor know before having procedures needing anesthesia. A new study shows people who reported smoking or using edibles on a daily or weekly basis needed as much as 2 times the level of sedation than non-users. Researchers in Grand Junction, Colorado, found patients who regularly used cannabis needed 14% more fentanyl, 20% more midazolam, and 220% more propofol for sedation. Coming up, Games of Thrones fans may be able to get their hands on some replicas of items seen in the popular show. We will tell you where.
A mini winter is coming. Well, it's already here, actually. The good news is after a frosty start, temperatures will soar later today. I'll have the full forecast in just a few minutes.